If you want to get started in trading stocks on the stock market, here's some of the stock trading basics that you might want to consider. All right, so the first thing you really need to do is have a goal. Now, you might think, oh, I have a goal, I want to make $1 million or whatever your number is. But essentially, that is just the beginning. You need to have an amount, um, the desired outcome. So, if you don't know what you want to do with that $1 million, you may not be able to determine whether that's enough or too little or whatever it is. But if we say $1 million, it really has no meaning to it without having a desired outcome. The goal has to go a lot further than just saying $1 million or whatever. All right, so we already mentioned these things, but purpose is really the whole basis of your goal and what you want to do with the money. So it allows you to determine the amount. Like for retirement, how much money do I think I'm going to need? If you are looking at putting in, say, $50 a week or $100 a month or whatever, you might want to readjust your thinking or determine, is there a way for you to trade and invest in a way that's going to help you get to that amount? And is there a certain amount you can increase that over time, especially in the short term? Because the more you increase in the short term, the chances are you're going to have a better probability of reaching that final number. All right, so determining your investment. So what does that mean? So you might have $100,000 that you have available to trade, but if you're a new investor, you may not want to put all of that in. So you may decide I'm only going to put 10,000 in. You may also decide I'm not going to put a lump sum in. I'm just going to put in a monthly amount, so $100, $500, whatever it is, and I'm going to just do a monthly amount on my trading, as opposed to putting in a lump sum. Build up my trading knowledge and my ability and my understanding of how the stock market works, and then I'm going to switch over and maybe increase that amount, or I might do, kind of a mixed trading. But essentially, figure out how it is you're going to invest, and you should stick with that for a little bit. Now, if you're putting in a lump sum to start with, I'd say you want to be fairly confident in how you're going to be trading and what you're doing, and have a fairly strong knowledge base. If you don't have that, I would start small, maybe $100 a month, start trading, and then increase that to $500 a month. And once you feel more confident in your knowledge and ability in the trading markets, then you can maybe put in a lump sum. The next thing is to choose a strategy. Now, I have to admit, when I first got into this, I thought day trader. I found out day traders should have a fairly large sum of money before they get started. I found out that my understanding and knowledge of the stock market was so very basic that I really shouldn't be putting a large sum of money into it. So over time, I feel more confident in my ability to trade and to look for stocks that I think are reasonable for the strategy I'm using, which is not day trading anymore. So if you're starting out thinking you're going to be a day trader because it looks really cool, or it looks like a way to increase your income quickly, those things are true, but whether or not you have the time, the funds to invest into it, and the knowledge is where the question marks all start to come into play. Now, you may have the knowledge, but you may not have the time. You may not have the funds. All these things are variables that I think as a beginner, you probably want to stay away from day trading until you have a kind of a base knowledge. Now, if you have somebody who's mentoring you, great. So you're probably not watching this video any further than this, because a mentor is going to teach you all the things you need to know about day trading. But what I do is get involved in day trading in a lower level, maybe do some swing trading, some quick trades here and there. So you can get into that, or maybe just get into some dividend stocks, and so buy and sell high and low, where there's not a lot of movement in those types of stocks. So you're not going to be doing a lot of value trading, not a lot of growth trading, like stuff like that. So you're not speculating on anything very much, just kind of following the trends of the market and learning as you go. And those strategies are a little bit simpler. I'm not going to get into strategies today, but typically day traders are going to have a little bit more knowledge than your average person starting. And when I say a little bit, I mean quite a bit. So, and they're also going to use other things to help the strategy out, which you're probably not familiar with at this point. right? So figure out what kind of strategy is going to be best for you as a beginner, and keep it simple. Make your trades small, and don't worry about trying to get the big hit right away. Build your knowledge. Experience time is kind of your friend if you take your time to kind of build that up. There's always going to be more trades in the future, so think about how you can improve the trades that you're doing and learn to understand how the markets are moving, types of trends, things that affect the stocks on a day-to-day or weekly basis. Now, as a beginner, there's really only two things that I think are important as a beginner when you're picking an online broker. So the first thing is easy to use. Make sure whichever broker you go with, it's easy to use. If you get on there and it's not easy to use, maybe look around for another one. If the broker is charging fees on everything and the fees are high, that just means you need so much more to get to that break-even point when you're doing a trade. If you can get a no fees broker, I'm going to have a link down below for Wealthsimple. I use them in Canada. So if you're in Canada and you want a no fees broker, use that link. We both get a reward if you do that. And I'm only promoting them because I use them and I like them. And I'm not promoting other brokers, whether or not they're good or bad, just because this is the best one I found for me. No fees, easy to use, and all the bells and whistles that are out there. You might add on, those things to your repertoire once you get going. But if you spend all your time learning how to use the bells and whistles, you're not learning how to trade. And I think your time is more valuably put towards learning how to trade, understanding the stock market, doing research, finding stocks that are suitable for your buying and selling based on your strategy. So researching stocks is, I think, a huge part of it. For myself, I try and keep it very simple and easy. I'm looking for dividend stocks, and I want dividend stocks that are going to allow me to do some swing trading. So I'm looking for stocks that are trending downwards so that I can hopefully buy in near the low and turn around and then do some selling at the high. But I want to maintain some of those stocks and get some dividend from the stocks as well. So I'm looking for like a 20 to 30% gain over anywhere from 2 to 6 months. In the meantime, I'm hoping to get at least one dividend payout, and that is the type of stocks I'm researching. Now, I'm not an expert in the stock market in any way at all, but that's really a simple strategy which I've chosen to go with, and I feel like I've had some reasonable success with my trading. So I'm at a comfort level with that, where I'm buying stocks that I feel like if I end up holding them for a certain period of time, I'm not as much at risk as I would have been 7 years ago. But essentially, when you're buying and selling a stock and you're holding for a certain period of time, there's always that risk that stock may go down in value and stay there, or continue to drop. But essentially, the stocks that I'm now focusing on, I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that I can hold them for that shorter period of time, less than a year, and potentially get a gain out of them. And so far, yeah, so good with my strategy. So I suggest that when you're doing your own research for stocks, make sure they fit into your strategy and what it is you're trying to do. Of course, if you're a day trader, you're going to be looking for different aspects of the stock that are going to lead towards a bigger gain on a daily basis. Whereas I'm not putting a lot of time in daily, but I'm researching stocks that are going to help me get that bigger boost over a short time, 2 to 6 months. So for me, essentially when I started trading, that's when I really started learning about the stock market. So I took a university class about trading stocks and understanding different aspects of the stock market. So from an academic point, I did okay in the class. I thought I had a pretty good grasp on what was going on. I had a mutual fund license, worked in a bank, so I've got a basic understanding of finance and money and so on and so forth. Never thought of myself as an expert, but I thought I had a pretty grasp. Now, when I started trading, it was kind of a different story. There was still quite a bit of learning to do. Um, I had success, but was kind of slow in coming, and so I had to learn some things and build on that. But essentially, starting trading was kind of the way I got the most learning out of my experience. So that's where I'd recommend start small. If you're going to start trading right off the hop, start small and build on that. You can do, put in $50 a month if you want, or you can start with $10 and start trading. The type of trading you're going to do with that $10 isn't really going to be similar to what you do when you start putting more money in, but as you grow and you learn how to trade, it gets better. It will go slow at that point, so if you want it to go a little bit faster, I'd recommend starting with $100, $500 a month, or even $1,000, depending on what your budget is, realizing that there is, of course, always a risk to lose money, but it is the best way to start learning, because you're actually putting yourself into the market and figuring out how that's going to affect you. So I'm not going to recommend you start training without kind of putting some thought into it, but essentially you're going to learn a lot faster by diving in and getting started. Now, before you dive in, you should also know there are certain platforms out there that will allow you to trade on the active market, but with fake dollars. So essentially you don't earn anything from it, but it kind of gives you an idea of how you could have made money if you invested a certain amount of money. So for instance, they'll give you like 100,000 of fake dollars, and then you can start trading and seeing how you would do by trading those dollars, and kind of do it without any risk. Allows you to go out and pick stocks, allows you to trade stocks, and from there you're kind of determining what it is that you're trying to figure out without actually risking any money. And so there is that opportunity out there. I gotta say, when I did it, I never really kind of dove into it as much as I did once I actually started with my own money. But nonetheless, there is an opportunity out there for you to learn and to go through the actual motions with real stocks on the stock market in a pretend version. So that is something that you should probably definitely look into, and just realize that you don't have to jump in risking a whole bunch of money. So finally, you just want to learn as much as you can about trading. You want to understand the stock market. You want to understand trends. You want to understand how different things affect them, like wars. Of course, we just had COVID. All these things are going to affect it. Government policy, oil changes depending on what different countries are doing. So the whole market is topsy-turvy whenever there's something going on. So you understand how these things affect stocks, and trends is kind of where I fit in a little bit more with my trading. But essentially, with that, I have to understand the different types of stocks, different things I'm wanting to know about them. Like I want dividend stocks. I want stocks that are going to have some fluctuation, where they're going to trend at certain times of the year. I want to be aware of that so I can buy them at the low, and therefore try and get the sell on the high side. So these types of things are going to be useful when you start trading, so that you understand how it is you're going to make a profit out of these trades. With that being said, also, like I said, I choose dividend stocks for myself because, well, essentially, if I end up buying a stock that I bought too high and can't sell it, I'm getting paid a dividend in the meantime, and it just helps my cash flow, so I can hopefully reinvest in something a little bit better and try and get a little bit more of a profit margin out of it. Now, I'm not an advisor, so none of this is meant to advise you, but more make you aware of the things you should be thinking about, and maybe to help you to better understand what it is you need to get help with or do research for yourself. All right, make sure you're making the right choice for your portfolio, and hope you'll join me for the next video. See you next time.